I was wanting to do a video going over a lot of the recent events, but I wasn't really sure what I could say that wasn't already being done by a bunch of other people. And I really didn't want to just jump in there with stuff that you're hearing everywhere else all over the internet, but I got into a discussion with some of my friends on Facebook, and that brought up something that I really haven't seen a lot of people talk about, so I thought I would go into that. One thing that has been happening is we've seen a lot of different businesses and organizations making statements on things. But one that did draw a little bit of attention was something that NASCAR did. And what NASCAR has decided to do is to completely ban the Confederate or Rebel flag from all of its events. Now, they had already quite some time ago banned it in any official capacity, where you couldn't have NASCAR itself or tracks or the teams, the drivers or crews or anybody there in any official capacity could not have the Rebel flag on them or actually flying or anything like that. What NASCAR has done now is stopped anybody that's there, whether they're in official capacity or just someone that is attending the race, from flying it there. Now, you would see a lot of the RVs and the infield fly flags, and you often still see a lot of Rebel flags in there. So that's mainly where they're going to be going. And that brought up a few questions like, why did NASCAR wait so long to do this? And the answer to that is obviously they were not wanting to alienate their fan base and get their fans mad. And the next question is, why would the fans respond so negatively to this? And so I need you to stick through this next part here, because I'm going to try to explain a few things about it that I think will help maybe people on both sides of this thing kind of understand a few things. Some time back, for better or for worse, the Rebel flag started being used as kind of a symbol of the South, just representing being from the South, representing Southern culture, Southern people, all things Southness. Just if you were from the South, you use that flag to represent you and just everything. And there are a lot of different things that are used by many different geographic regions to represent the people and the culture from there. So that is not an unusual thing. What is unusual in this case was that they chose the flag associated with the Confederacy. So they picked this flag associated with the Confederacy to represent the South. And generations down the line, this flag kept being used for that purpose. You have this kind of coupled with this idea that was being taught that the Confederacy kind of had like noble intentions beyond just slavery. And while it is technically true that there were some other things that they stated as reasons for rebelling against the Union, it was pretty much about slavery. That myth has stuck around, and that myth has been believed by many, many people. And so the flag, the Rebel flag, was seen as not being a racist thing by many people. And since it wasn't a racist thing, we can use that to represent the South. And so for generations, this kept being used. So everything in your life is telling you that that flag represents everything in your life. So what is the point I am getting to here? Here's what the point is. If you go up to someone from the South and you just go up to them and all you have to say is, that flag is racist, what? They pretty much hear you say that they're racist. Not only that they're racist, but their parents are racist, their grandpa was racist, Uncle George, Cousin Jimmy, the people that live down the road, your friends from the bowling alley, your co-workers at work, the people from church, all of them are racist. Your entire culture and everything that you have that represents your culture is racist. You may as well just go up and literally say that to them, because that is what they are going to hear you say. And since that is what they hear you say, that is how they are going to respond, as if you literally just told them all that. So they're insulted by it, they're angered by it, and now they're going to completely shut you off. It is a brick wall between you and them. There cannot be any further discourse happening. They have just shut you off. They're not going to listen to anything that you have to say on it, and they're probably more blocked off from other people being able to talk to them now. And it doesn't matter what you think about it there, because that's what they believe. And even though that belief is misguided, it is their belief nonetheless, and that is how they feel about it. So do you just say, I guess we can't reach these people, shrug it off and be done? Well, no. This is where it gets tricky, and you have to do things that you don't actually want to do. Look, there's a lot of things you have to do in your life that you don't want to do. Conflict resolution is like really hard. I've been taught a lot of things about it and learned a lot of things about it, and those things tend to not stay in my head, and in the heat of the moment when I am debating or usually arguing with someone, I tend to not remember those things, and I say the wrong things that tend to escalate instead of de-escalate. One thing that has managed, though, to kind of stick with me a little bit, but actually listening to what they have to say and then stating that back to them, not verbatim to them, but just stating it back to them. But in this case, what you need to do is you need to be able to explain back to them that you understand what the rebel flag represents to them. If you can get to that point to where you're not saying you agree with it, you're just saying that you understand their feelings on it, then once you've gotten to that point where they can see that you're actually honest about that, then you can start to talk about some of the issues with it, and then they know that you're not trying to straight up just insult them, because what we've got is two different groups that have very, very strong opinions about that flag, coming from very, very different things taught to them by their culture. And when the two of them get together and just run on pure emotion at each other, it's just bang, 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 and nothing happens there. So now going past that a little bit, is the rebel flag really a problem? Is it a problem? Well, yeah, it kind of is. Okay, look, this is going back to something very much attached to the Confederacy. We like to think that there were noble intent there, but there really wasn't. We know what the Civil War was about. And look, you can look at all the stuff that was happening before the Civil War, the whole balance between trying to make sure that there were proper number of slave states versus free states. And you can look at the stuff the various different states wrote in their declarations in joining the Confederacy. Most of them state something in there about it being like a white man's country. So this was foremost on their minds when they did this. This is what they were fighting about. And pretty much this is a flag that was basically just used by a group that tried to rebel against the country that we live in right now so that they could keep having slavery. And this isn't really something where you're taking a symbol that was okay and then was used by someone else for bad and you're turning it back around and taking it back. Well, there's not any taking it back. You're not taking back the rebel flag. The rebel flag was a problem to start with. And some people took it and tried to clean it up and use it, but it's ultimately just rooted in bad stuff. And the tricky thing with it is that it was used for so long by so many people as something very differently from its original intention that it's hard to get them to see that now, because there are deep emotions rooted in it, and those deep emotions don't have anything to do with racism. Most of the people that are using that flag aren't using it to be racist. They just see it as a symbol of where they're from. That's why you can't approach them like they're racist, because they're not. Okay, there are probably some that are still using it to be racist, but those guys, you've honestly got more than a flag problem with those. But what we've got now is just a bunch of people that aren't using it to be racist. It was just decisions made years ago that weren't good decisions that we're now dealing with the ramifications of. And hopefully this makes a little bit of sense to people, that those that really have used this flag all their life, that maybe they can see that it's not the best thing to use. And then other people who see it and get offended by it, that you can look at it and understand why people are so angered when it is attacked, because they take it personally, and that there are other things at play besides racism here. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and a like, or you can give it a thumbs down if you just really don't agree with me there. You can leave comments down there with whatever your comments are. And even though this isn't the normal type of material I have on my channel, you can still take a look at the other content I have to see if that's what you're interested in. And you can subscribe and click the little notification bell so that you can find out about all the videos that I post and not miss anything. I'm Jeremy with Poindexter G, and we'll see you next time.